Alright, I'm back. Daddy's home.
Unlike your real father, I came back from the store and I'm here to discuss the brilliance that is Helck. And it's okay, I can make that joke. I too have daddy abandonment issues, so it's okay, I relate, don't worry. But seriously, Helck has been on an absolute roll, and Helck has been criminally underappreciated ever since it started up, and even more so once it got into its second core. And I can already hear the keyboards, well then why weren't you talking? I got busy, okay? I was still watching it. I was still covering it on Patreon. I love me that Helck greatness. But after over a month of backstory with Helck and his brother, and then the transitioning into what the end goal for at least season 1 is, I mean, there's clearly going to still be some content left to adapt, it seems, and hopefully we'll be able to get a third core of it at some point. But what we've been experiencing with this reverse hero tale, because usually if you have demons and kind of like angelic warriors, one side's clearly evil, one side's clearly in the righteous. And the idea of these demons and just rooting for them so hard, the numerous fights, the numerous emotional gut punches, like Helck's backstory in general, we knew the outcome as soon as it started, but to see the build-up and to see what these brothers went through, I mean, this should be 10 out of 10, man. Now, I have full live reactions to every single episode of Helck. Even if I'm not covering it every week on YouTube, I still keep up to date over on Patreon, so head on over there if you do want to see all my thoughts on all these episodes. This week is going to be kind of like a joint combination thought video. I think I probably will have videos up for the remaining episodes though, just because I think where Helck's at right now is going to be very fun to discuss. Especially with the latest episode, episode 21, it ends with a fight with Ozra, and the kid gloves, they off now. I mean, it's interesting because I actually kind of want to jump into this first just because it is the most recent thing. The idea of Ozra has been, I don't know, like in any other show, I didn't really have a high impression of him at the beginning of this show, like when we got introduced, but he's quickly become, I think, my favorite character in Helck in general, because the idea of someone who can legitimately wear some of the dumbest things you've ever seen, even if it was a distraction and it wasn't actually him on the battlefield in this episode. I mean, he does legitimately wear that goofy ass mask, but he's actually one of the most badass characters I can recall this year, especially because he uses a form of fighting that I normally don't associate as badass, like the ability to manipulate tree roots and stuff, but as you see, it's a very effective way of fighting. The idea that he comes in, we get a confirmation of who he was when he was younger, apparently a much more frightening kid, all things considered. And obviously, as someone matures and has more happiness, maybe they're not as much of an angry boy as they once were. But we go from, in the beginning of this fight, him saying, I'm going to capture you alive. By the end, one foot will be in the grave. To him saying, you know what? I'm just going to kill you. And I kind of believe he's going to pull through. And if not, I'll be incredibly disappointed. But still, the most memorable Helck character by far. You have Hira's fight, which, I mean, she's be losing arms, she'd be making him lose arms. I mean, basically, the dude we're going up against is essentially a vampire, man. He looks like one, he acts like one. Helck, in the backstory, literally blows off his arm at one point, and he just brushes that shit off, because that's just what he is. And apparently his grand vision is just to restart shit and just be like, you know what, we're gonna have Big Bang number 2 and this boy be twisted, man. But the star attraction, I think, that has happened over recent weeks has been Helck's backstory. So Helck is a character that, especially when I was talking about this on YouTube, is someone who, like, once he gets to his end goal, he could potentially become the biggest evil ever if he just implodes and who's gonna stop him, right? Now, granted, Lady Anne, aka Vermilia, who does end up admitting her true identity as being one of the Demon Lords, does have a blade that could put Helck out of his misery, push come to shove. And they definitely have reached a point where they are a lot more, it kind of feels like they're partners properly, right? I mean, they basically sit around a campfire for probably an hour for their time, but like 6 episodes for us, and go over this massive backstory about brothers growing up and this brother becoming the hero and Helck just kind of being a normal dude and just how the betrayal happens. I wanted to see so bad how these humans all turn into these monstrosities and why some could kind of seem like they're still human, but at the end of the day, they feel like they're just imitators, like they're imitating what was the identity. And just to see the snowfall, to see, oh man, that tragic love story that happened. I mean, this girl ends up like asking him out on a date just like prior to all this happening. Helck misunderstands it, but then seeing her just try to hold on to her humanity as it all just starts crumbling. I mean, the amount of rage Helck had, I can't blame the boy. And what happened to his brother is heartbreaking, like absolutely just soul crushing. And man, like Helck has really stood out this year. I mean, it's one of those shows that on paper doesn't really seem like it's going to do anything we haven't seen before. Like, oh, okay, yeah, Demon Realm, got some wars going on, humanity's actually a little corrupted. I've seen plenty of stories, even outside of anime, do that type of concept. But there's something about the charm and the vibe and the fact that for so much of Helck, Helck has been smiley. Just like, what's behind that smile? What type of pain's behind that smile? But the Jolly Green Giant just continues. He-Man refuses to let people feel sad. And then we get to see what he's like when he's actually truly pissed off and ready to just cause a ruckus, or most importantly, is so just beyond crushed. And it has been an incredible journey to see where Helck has gone over now 21 episodes total. And I'm very excited to see what they do, because they have a pretty solid plan, all things considered. It's kind of like a mixture of tower defense meets like your kind of assassin squad. So Helck, Lady Vermilio, they're going in as the main strike force undercover, because basically the angels and the humans are just basically like, they're pushing in the demon shit. And they are doing well at defending, but ultimately it looks like they're on the defensive, not the offensive. And the idea of them being able to hopefully sneak in, especially because in episode 20, I think it was, you have the chatty box who, honestly, I mean, you can talk in your head, girl. You don't need to speak out loud when you're infiltrating. Ends up meeting up with that girl who I think was the same one who ended up getting the brothers' help back at the beginning of their backstory. And she seems to be more of a prisoner than anything. So it's going to be interesting, especially because it seems like we're building up with a reunion with Helck there, especially because Helck is going to that location. But either way, some good stuff these past few weeks. Like, obviously shows like these aren't going to be for everyone, but I legitimately think Helck has turned into a masterpiece, at least for me. Like, you can nitpick, you can pick apart like, oh, is the animation always the best? No, but there's certain sword fights in recent episodes that have such really good choreography, and I think the manipulation of different, earth magics and stuff, it does feel like it has its own identity. And I think one of the things I first said when I did my first impressions on episode 1 was that when you look at the character designs of Helck, because you basically get thrown into a tournament arc right away, like you see a whole coliseum of very varied character designs, and whether it was an Easter bunny, whether it was a dog man, like I was like, this doesn't look like your traditional demon realm, and immediately it stood out. Even if the character designs aren't hyper realistic, they have a simplicity to them that lets them pop up and stay rather consistent. Two cours don't usually hold up this well anymore, even if it's a bigger studio or like a very talented team, because anime production is stretched so thin, there's not enough talent to go around, and outsourcing, when you start having all these different hands, it leads to a lack of consistency. But Helck has remained fairly consistent. It's not the best looking show of the year, I'm not trying to say that, but it is consistent, and because of the simplistic kind of charm it went for at the beginning, it's allowed it to hold itself together quite well, and in certain cases, like the action, it does exceptionally well. So overall, I would say the backstory was amazing. I saw some people complain it was too long. I say, absolutely not. I thought it lasted properly. I was glued to the screen, always wanting to see more, even knowing the end goal. It's kind of like rewatching your favorite show. Even if you know where it ends up, you catch these different things, but in this case, we got all these extra details we didn't know existed. The action, the comedy, and just the bond that has now happened between our central two has been absolutely incredible. But let me know what you've been thinking of Helck, if you've been keeping up with it, whether this latest episode or previous ones. Let me know down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're around here, of course ring that bell so you can get notified when I upload more videos to the channel. And like I said, we probably will keep on doing Helck for the remaining episodes, but no matter what, we always got him over on Patreon, and hey, while you're over there, you also get a video shout out. So today we have Durberg Jude, Third Dynasty, Arthur Kunha, Fabian, Tychos, Steelwater. Oh, we got a lot today, actually. Jonas Pierre, Stephen Thomas, Marion James E. Posada, Ronga Rage, Azov Montgomery, and Joseph Kingsley. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care and have a good one.